What was ruined because too many people did it? Subscription everything, especially software. I want to buy Office/AutoCAD one time and use it for a decade. I don't want to buy it every year. A lovely counterexample is DaVinci Resolve. It's a serious video editing package used on proper films, and there's a free as in beer version and a paid for version. The free version limits you to 4K timelines, presumably because if you're cutting higher resolutions then that you're making a proper film and can afford it, and doesn't have some of the fancier effects and neural engine processing that the paid for one has, but other than that there are no limitations. You can use the free one commercially for as long as you like. A license for the paid for one is about 300 quid, and also comes free with some of the hardware they produce. Once you've got your license, that's it, it'll work on all the versions up to the current one. There's nothing that explicitly says they'll never ask you to pay to upgrade, but they haven't yet. I think their business model is getting the enthusiastic amateur market using it, and the few that go on to a career in filmmaking will then just go out and buy themselves a remarkably inexpensive, £6,000 or so, digital cinema camera from BMD, and base their studio around all the control panels you can buy for it. Kind of like we'll give it away for free because we know you're going to buy it next week anyway. I haven't bought it yet, but it's on my list for early next year, because I want some of the cleanup and scaling tools that only work in studio. We had an amazing Halloween house in our small town, walking distance from my place. Every year the family who owned it would bring in Hollywood-level props and lighting and 10 or so actors in full regalia to replicate a Pirates of the Caribbean scene all around the property. The Jack Sparrow was a dead ringer for Johnny Depp. Every kid would get a bag full of real candy, not the mini Halloween stuff. Unfortunately, people started coming from other towns and it turned into a mob scene to the point that cops had to direct traffic and they shut it down. There's a house like this in southern New Jersey but for Christmas and in the theme of Christmas vacation. The local police do help direct traffic and the owners of the home leaned into the popularity, taking donations for some charity, I can't remember which. I went a couple of years ago. When a house like that becomes overly popular, I think it could end up being a good thing. A shame it got shut down. Havasupai Falls in Oz. Went back in the early 2000s and it was nice and little to no trash. Now all these fuckheads have trashed the park and overcrowded it for a effing Instagram post, making wait times ungodly long. I hold great anger towards people that litter in cities, but I get enraged at dipshits that litter in parks. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you people? Clean up your shit. And for those who actually care, please bring a waste bag and we can start cleaning up after these fuck sticks. Havasupai is ruined. I am not sure what will happen when they reopen in the end of May 2023. If I remember correctly, the 3-night camp permit costs $750 per person. Therefore, it's not just assholes, but rich assholes who ruined it. Craft fairs. Now they're crowded with dozens of MLMs. I just want to find knitted slippers made by an old lady who clearly has a drinking problem, not more Norwex. One of the small towns I've lived in has an annual street fair. Used to be great as you'd have local artists and crafters, local food trucks and kids' rides, and while it did bring in outside people for the day, it was predominantly locals, so you'd wander around and stop often to chat. Local politician decided to set up a booth one year, the next year the opponent did the same thing, and now one whole street of the fair is just filled with local politicians handing out flyers and trying to get people to vote for them. Really dragged down the tone of the fair. Ew, how gross. My cousin sells Mary Kay and always sets up a booth at craft fairs. She puts up signs saying support your small business. Huh? Those people see themselves as successful independent entrepreneurs who've pulled themselves up by their own bootstraps and are totally responsible for it all. They do, until it goes under, as did a certain kids' clothing one last week, and then it's all us poor moms were fired with no notice. I'm sorry, I thought you were boss babes with your own business. How did you get fired? I went to an estate sale for a woman moving into assisted living. She sold Mary Kay and was selling all of her inventory, $5 for an all-you-can-fill small bag or $25 for all-you-can-fill large bag. It took up 2 whole rooms in her home. She was telling my husband how there are Mary Kay sellers who are millionaires and how she would travel to all these seminars and retreats for it, yet she was sitting on what had to be tens of thousands of dollars of product that she was selling for pennies. I'm not a big makeup person, but got a few things because it was so cheap and makeup is so expensive. Every time I see the stuff in my drawer it makes me kind of sad. Luckily the craft fairs I do in my area are selective on that kind of stuff, and it's mostly crafters and a few local businesses. Around where I live, I think most if not all craft fairs have banned MLMs. We have some local shows that do this too. My crafter friend and I refuse to go to any that feature MLMs. Luckily some local art studios have been popping up and doing their own shows now too, which is awesome. Same with farmers markets. Used to be tons of actual farmers offering samples and selling fruits and vegetables out of the back of janky busted up farm trucks. Now it's dozens of hipsters and MLMs selling expensive bullshit, maybe one or two food stalls selling shitty marked up food, and maybe one actual farmer if you are lucky, and half the time he's just selling preserves instead of fresh fruits and vegetables. You used to be one of only a few people around bidding on storage lockers. It used to be a fun hobby I gave up on because it became too popular and people are grossly overpaying for the lockers, which is oftentimes just paying to make a dump run for someone. In a similar vein, liquidation stuff. Now every pallet is picked over, costs 50% of MSRP, and is half broken. My friend owed $600 and I went to the auction and bought her belongings back for $25. You store owners hate this one simple trick. My mom put all my stuff in a storage locker when I went abroad and then lost it for not paying for 8 months, and lying about it. I lost everything I owned since childhood except for 2 suitcases of clothes I had brought with me to study abroad. All my photos, journals I had kept religiously since I was 5 years old, mementos, stories, poems and paintings. Thousands of dollars of rare books. Stuff I hope to digitize and or give to my kids someday. I tried to find out what happened to my stuff after I found out what happened, but whoever bought the unit threw everything away. Now when I see ads for those shows I just feel sick to my stomach. Edit, here's a link to a repost of something I wrote when I found out what happened. Edit 2, the original link to that post was deleted, sorry, I thought everyone could see it. I posted it as a comment responding to this post. Had the same thing happen with my dad. I moved to another city temporarily for a seasonal job and my dad said he'd pay for a storage locker for all my stuff while I was gone. He ended up not paying any of it and lying about it the whole time, and the unit was sold off. Finding out all the irreplaceable things you've accumulated over the years are just gone, with no way to get them back, is a horrible feeling. My condolences. My old next-door neighbor bought the contents of a storage unit and after finding nothing of any real value almost threw everything out before he found an old letter with an address. Paid a month's rent on the unit and left stuff there while he tried to see if he could find anything. He was able to find out that the original owner had died but got into contact with her kids, and for the cost of the month's rental he was able to return a lot of sentimental objects to them. Visiting major historical sites. Most of them have been turned into badly maintained, super expensive tourist traps. Add in the trash and damages tourists do, and yikes. Gettysburg is one of those places. Within the last decade or so, a lot of the museums have closed only to be replaced by ghost tour companies, wineries, and breweries. I'd guess at least a quarter, if not more, of the local economy comes from ghost tours and alcohol. It is not the same town it once was. There's been a counter movement in the past few years, to be honest. Sure, you can still catch a ghost tour or buy a touristy t-shirt if you want. But as far as history, it's everywhere in that town. The Seminary Ridge Museum, the Gettysburg Museum of History, and the soon-to-be-opened brand-new Adams County Historical Society Museum are all amazing places to visit independent of the battlefield. If you haven't been to those places, I'd recommend them. Thrift shopping. Yup. 15 years ago the prices were so cheap and you could always find a gem. Now they're always crowded and everything is overpriced, and you might find something good once every 2 to 3 visits if you're lucky. I blame the online sellers. Our local thrift stores have people who go in when they open and drop a few $100s on stuff and resell it on the FB Marketplace, Craigslist, eBay, etc. It's not just thrift stores either. They do it at all the local discount stores. Retail arbitrage is the new entrepreneur. The thrift stores in my area caught wind of that, so they started raising prices. Last time I was in, I saw a pair of shoes with holes through them listed at $20. It wasn't even originally an expensive brand. Yep. Books went insane about 15 years ago. Once everyone had a smartphone, a barcode scanner, not even needed anymore, was easy. So resellers would literally sit there for 3 hours and scan every book for the 10 to 20 that they could resell and make a profit. So the rest of us learned and stopped buying books since we all knew that it was not worth it, since everything on the shelf was just as cheap on Amazon. So the thrift stores raised their price so they likely make more, but it still has the same problem for 99% of the customers. The rest of the stores have gotten that way. Anything that can be bought like that and resold will be. Used to be a lot of 99 cents and $1.99 items, and I would go home with a cart full of nice and / or useful things for neighbors and shelters and family. And there are fewer nice things. Earlier tonight my husband complimented me on the nice pretty down-filled coat I bought before the pandemic. I said I wished I had bought more things before COVID because I'll never see a coat like that at Goodwill again. And if I do, it will be way out of my price range. And yes, utter trash is now more expensive than WM or even Dollar Tree. A lot of items have the original price on them that was lower when the item was new. I don't get it. They have expenses like every else, but they pay the employees very low wages and all their inventory is donated, so what's the deal? I go thrifting for collectibles and to fuel my Nerf blaster hobby. If it's a big thrift store chain, anything good gets put on their website, or goes up front in the glass cases. You have to get real lucky for something to slip through the cracks and wind up on the floor for you to find before someone else does. Nerf in my area still gets put out very regularly. The list of things the resellers has ruined is rather long, but at least Nerf slips through still, and I have a small collection of cool Nerf stuff picked up over the years for dirt cheap. I am a childless man in my 30 IE, so there is still a limit on what it makes sense to have. Yeah, they caught on to resellers and figured they'd just cut out the middleman and make the profits themselves. So they started pricing things at reseller prices, which is kind of stupid because people go there looking for a bargain. Plus, people buying from resellers online are usually looking for that particular thing and are willing to pay more for it because of that. My local Goodwill rarely puts anything good out, and when the tiers are rolled out, which occasionally has good stuff, everyone comes attacking like wolves at dinner time. I've seen a few fights break out, once over a framed Beatles poster, second time it was a cassette player, third was a decoy book box. Good stuff rarely makes it to the shelves. What makes me crazy, in my area, is them pricing something like a record player at its original MSRP or going rate on eBay when it's clearly broken, dirty, or very cosmetically worn. There's no sense of condition. I once saw them trying to sell an incomplete KitchenAid, missing attachments, that was as is, aka busted, very used, rusted, for almost what a new one at Target was going for at the time. All these things end up at the Goodwill outlets, which, if nobody is there to buy, is its last stop before the dump. Absolutely waste. Why not price to sell? The overhead is mostly only payroll and rent, way better than traditional retail because they get all this stuff for free. Also, it's junk. Sell it at junk prices. People complain about resellers, but in our age of mass-produced garbage, at least some people are out there essentially recycling someone else's trash. I was saving up for a KitchenAid mixer and saw one at my local Goodwill priced higher than a new one. It looked great, but no warranty. I host a buy/sell/trade radio show on Saturdays just for fun. Old lady was moving to assisted living, and needed to clear out kitchen items ASAP. I'm a broke cook who thrifts as much kitchen stuff as he can, so I went over to look. She had a well-used KitchenAid mixer with the pasta roller, peeler, sifter, and the slicer attachments plus an extra bowl. I had a $50 bill on me, and I told her I would go get more money. She told me to take it all for $50 and absolutely refused to take any more. Yes, I did tell her it was worth way more than that. Best deal I've gotten. I've used the shit out of that mixer over the last 4 years. Airbnb. Used to love Airbnb years ago. Now it's pricier than a lot of decent hotels, and some of the house rules are nutty. My friend gave me a discount coupon for one. I compared it to a local hotel and the hotel was cheaper with less rules. My hotel doesn't expect me to leave the room in pristine shape. I leave the towels in the tub and pick up all garbage, but I'm not expected to vacuum and dust. For real. I stayed at an Airbnb once on a ski trip and it was clearly the people's family home, so not like a random rental. We cleaned all the sheets/pillowcases/towels, wiped down countertops, ran the dishwasher, swept. Then we got a message from them because they were upset we put a wooden spoon in the dishwasher. I guess in the 40-page manual they left it said not to. They couldn't believe we hadn't read the entire thing cover to cover, and on top of that, there are always crazy cleaning fees. Like, why am I paying a $150 cleaning fee on top of cleaning your house? The high cleaning fee is just a way to lower the price in searches. Doesn't work anymore though. Lower rental price, higher cleaning fee. Like charging really high shipping on eBay. Also, Airbnb takes a portion of the price but does not take a portion of the cleaning fee. It's become a way to make a few extra dollars that Airbnb doesn't tax. It's the same as online sellers on eBay, Etsy, etc. who charge exorbitant shipping fees. It's just a way to skim from the company. And more power to you, but it's such a headache to try to book somewhere, and while booking, finding out the reasonable booking is ridiculously higher than expected. Also sorry, but if I am paying $100 plus for a cleaning fee, I will not be stripping the beds. I always do reasonable tidying anywhere I stay, but I am not spending the last day of my stay deep cleaning. Edit, please stop replying to me about eBay. Apparently they've changed their practices since I last used it, likely due to the aforementioned reason, and as you can see it's already been addressed by other users ad nauseum. I leave notes under the covers if you see this. The host didn't launder the sheets. I got a note like that once, appreciated the heads up, and left a bad review. Maybe that was Karinish, but who really wants to sleep in the same sheets as a stranger? ESP when you and the next guest are paying a cleaning fee, which often match the price of the actual room. That's not Karinish at all. The host should be washing and changing sheets between every guest. If they can't bother, they shouldn't be in business. Not Karinish at all, at all. You're doing the Lord's work. Also, if you book a hotel room, you usually can be sure to have a place to sleep. Airbnb, oops, seems I rented out the place 2 times for the same day. I love staying in real hotels, a double or king bed, room service, fresh towels and little toiletries that I may not want but still nice. There is no way I'm paying to do your chores while I'm on vacation. My problem is paying the $300 cleaning fee and still having to fully clean the place before checkout. What am I paying for? I don't do Airbnb, but why would both pay the cleaning fee and also clean the place? Beyond don't trash it if you're charging me $300, I'm not doing anything other than putting rubbish in the can and putting dishes in the dishwasher. It's why I don't use them unless I have to now. It's ridiculous. The last one I stayed at had a $300 cleaning fee and it was required that you do the dishes, put away dishes, do the towels, strip the beds, start the bedding in the washer, and sweep and mop. Plus the neighbors were super creepy. We were 3 women on a friend's weekend and they concerned us so much we almost left on our second day. In Orlando, often the houses with washers/dryers don't come with any cleaning products, let alone washing detergent. However, the rules include things like washing towels. With what? That means the towels before me are necessity. Airbnb was such a great idea until investors ruined it by buying properties just for the sake of short-term renting. Now entire neighborhoods have been gutted, and residential life has been ruined for so many people. I attempted to use Airbnb once and I'll never try again. Booked a private entrance room in someone's house for almost a month while I was going to be on leave back in the States. The day before I'm set to check in, they contact me on the website saying that the room wasn't available because they turned it into their baby's nursery 7 months ago. Airbnb tried to fight me so hard to refund everything, but it was a completely false listing, so I got all my money back after a several-hour-long phone call. Ridiculous. The hotel room I ended up getting actually was cheaper and it had a kitchen. Plus cleaning and no baby crying. I'll stick to hotels every time. Fuck Airbnb. God, it makes me wonder how many people just gave up on the refund. Which is insane. I feel like there's a decent chance this couple make a couple of $100 a month on keeping the listing. Airbnb is so big it's killing the town I live in. I live in a tourist town up on top of a mountain, and up until the Airbnb's got big hotels and a handful of dedicated rental cabins were enough to accommodate for the tourists we get. Now half the houses in town are exclusively vacation rentals, people are being evicted to make room for more every day, and there's nobody left to work at any of our businesses, and the price of literally everything has risen far above the price it would be in any other town. Edit, I already answered where I'm talking about so you can stop asking. Kinda depressing that there are so many places that people immediately think of when I say this though. Flying drones. Thanks to all the idiots doing dumb shit with them, it's not even worth getting into the hobby nowadays. You pretty much can't fly anywhere worth flying, need all sorts of permits, are constantly risking hefty fines or even being investigated for terrorism. No, thanks. My dad flies RC airplanes and hates drone people lol. They don't follow any rules at all, and since drones are pretty much idiot-proof, pretty much anyone can get into the hobby. He's just worried that his hobby is going to require more rules/regulations, or perhaps even be banned due to too many stupid people doing stupid things, flying near airports, etc. Ad block. Now every website has a warning. It used to be a rare sight. Fun fact, you can block ad block warnings. Technically, they're ads. Can you block the ones that basically shut down the site until you turn off ad block? It's often just a right-click block element. Edit, to those saying no, it quite often works, and, while there are many places that are trying to prevent it from working, there are many where it still works. Never throw away a hammer just because sometimes you also need a drill. Anything that removes ads is a step in the right direction. Adblock Origin seems to block those, at least usually. Problem I've had is that websites have replaced outside ads with their own ads, pop-ups that demand you give them an email address or a subscription when you just showed up to look up an API call you forgot the wording for. If you like the video, hit that subscribe button for more content. I post every day and I'll see you next time with more stories.